Hi, I'm Chloe, former employee of Greater Portland Landmarks, and so excited to celebrate Maine's Bicentennial with you by making a birthday cake, the Resurgam birthday cake. If anyone knows the best way to say Resurgam, please feel free to contact me.
Hey Chloe, it's Resurgam.
So the inspiration from this cake came from the original location of where the gala was going to be, which was at the Eastland Hotel, because of the feeling I get when I look at the postcard of the Danish tea room in the old Eastland Hotel. So I went from there, found an old menu, and on the menu for 15 cents was chocolate fudge cake. That menu was from the late 30s, and I happen to have a cookbook from the late 30s, a sure guide for every bride, and in it there was a chocolate fudge cake. So I made it, and it was lacking everything that I love in a cake. And I read the menu again, and the Danish tea room was an exact or a pretty close approximation of the Danish city of Ribe. And the person who created the Eastland Hotel was from the Danish town of Ribe. And he had also created the motel called the Danish Village, which is no more, but Greater Portland Landmarks gave a preservation award when they moved the arch of the town to a park and preserved it. Now, another little fact about me is that my great-grandmother also, much like the builder of the Eastland Hotel and the Danish Village Motel, where I believe Eleanor Roosevelt once stayed, is from the city of Ribe. And so then that's where things all came together for this cake. Bear with me, everyone. My great-grandmother, mother to my grandmother, my grandmother Mimi, who would go on to marry a man from Presque Isle. So, what this cake was missing was some good old-fashioned Maine potatoes. That grandfather of mine, when he left Presque Isle for his first semester at college at a prestigious Massachusetts university, he wrote in an essay about those breaks, picking potatoes, and his remarks came back that he was far too sentimental about it. So first we're starting off just creaming white sugar and brown sugar with butter. Okay, so now I'm going to add the potatoes. These are just mashed potatoes. They're boiled, and then I use a potato masher to get them nice and smooth. And then we'll let it go and get mixed in. So I'm going to scrape down the sides. Now I'm going to put it on low, and I'm going to add the eggs one at a time. When you do the egg yolks, we're going to get to decorating the cake later, but we're going to save the whites. So once that's all blended together, scrape down the sides, and then we're going to add our melted chocolate. Okay, so I'm going to get the machine running and slowly drizzle the chocolate in. And here we go. So the next step is adding the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients. We're going to add the dry ingredients in 3 parts and alternating with the milk in 2 parts, and that helps everything incorporate evenly. Okay, so now I'm going to do 1/3 of the flour mixture. And just when you still see a little flour left, go ahead and slowly add in half the milk. And now finally, the last of the dry. Slowly get that going. Now to avoid over mixing the flour, I'm going to stop it here while I still see some of it, scrape it down, and then give it one last mix. This is sprayed with a pan grease. You can butter it. I cut parchment paper and sprayed in between. The main purpose of this is that it's going to be a sling to help you get the cake out. Get it all in. Spread it into the corners. Give your spatula to someone you love. I'm going to clean up. Wash my bowl out really thoroughly because we're going to be using egg whites in it. Then we'll set up to make the topping. So, the third inspiration for this cake. When I first started at Landmarks, it was the 150th anniversary of the Great Fire, and learned that a sugar factory burned down during that time. So we're going to make some nice toasty meringues. So I'm putting in my egg yolks. And to help stabilize them and give them a boost is cream of tartar. You want to get it going on slow first. Okay, so now the whites have gotten very frothy. Looks like a bubble bath, kind of. So I'm going to put it up just one more notch. And I'm going to slowly just pour in my sugar. So once it's got all of the sugar in, go ahead and you can turn it up one more notch. And we're going to wait till we have a nice stiff peak. Now that's a beautiful stiff peak. Take just a scoopful. It's about 1/4 cup. We're going to save it for later. And then everything else is going to go right on top of the cake. But we're going to be spreading it out, and I'm going to do a few just to help it mold into the cake. I'm going to just dig this into the cake batter a little. Bring some chocolate stripes into the meringue. I am going to spread it out, make dramatic peaks. Not only is it delicious and a great complement to a very chocolatey cake, it's decorated once it comes out of the oven, and the messier it is, the better looking it is. So this is going to go into the oven at 325. It's going to probably take at least 50 minutes. I'm going to set the timer for 30 minutes, flip it, set it again for 20 minutes, and then keep checking it. Now, what's going to be tricky about this cake is that it's hard to just put a skewer in it to check it. It's hard to touch the top and check it to see if it's done. So we are going to do knife checks. We're going to look for it to come out just with a little moist crumb or a thin streak of chocolate, but for the most part a clean knife. Depending on how many times you check it, you might end up making more of a hole than you wanted in your beautiful meringue topping. So this is just at the end. We can patch up any holes that we may have made. So I just took the cake out of the oven. The house has been smelling like toasted marshmallows. So I'm just going to use this meringue and patch up where I had made holes in the cake to test it. Now I'm going to switch my oven to broil. I'm going to put this cake in so it gets that sugar factory on fire, marshmallow left a second too long in the campfire flavor. Now we've waited for the cake to get nice and cool after it was out of the broiler for just, I'm not sure if mine was in for even a minute. So now here you want to take advantage of the wings that you made. Lift it out of the pan. Our birthday cake.